Hey everybody, Christmas is coming up. We're about a week out and I thought I'd just talk about what Christmas was like when I was a kid because I love Christmas. So I figured shedding some light on what Christmas was like for me as a kid would give you an idea of why I like the holidays so much. So when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s, at Christmas I got a lot of gifts. I would get like a big gift like a Nintendo or a guitar, and I would get a lot of small gifts like fun, goofy stuff to fill in the blanks. And I believe this is because I was getting a mixture of my mom's Christmas and my dad's Christmas from when they were kids. Now, this is just a guess on my part, but my mom came from a big family and they would receive like one gift. So my dad came from a smaller family. It was just like him and his brothers. So they had more of a consumer Christmas, more like what we have today. So when I was a kid, on Christmas Eve, we would go to my grandparents on my dad's side and open gifts, and I always got a lot of stuff. Got a lot of gifts from my grandmother or my grandparents on that side, as well as stuff from my uncle, and my parents would usually give me a gift too. So I got a lot of stuff on Christmas Eve. So I'd usually come home from Christmas Eve pretty stoked about Christmas morning because I had already got some cool stuff and I knew Christmas morning was going to be more cool stuff. So I was all about the fun of opening the gifts. It was about getting stuff, but it wasn't just about what I was getting. It was the whole not knowing that I loved so much. And as an adult, I love to give gifts for the same reason. I like to see that look on someone's face when they're gonna open a gift and they don't know what you got them, but they're gonna find out. It's a good feeling to me. So on Christmas Eve night, we'd also usually watch like a Christmas movie or something like that and have a feast at my grandparents' house. Then we'd come home and I'd try my hardest to go to sleep because Christmas morning was coming up. So Christmas morning, first thing we'd do is open stockings. There would always be cool stuff in my stockings, like little electronic gadgets, toys, candy, always those candy canes full of M&Ms or Hershey's or whatever. Side note, I didn't discover the beauty of a chocolate orange till 3 or 4 years ago when I started to research what they did in other places. I heard that in the UK they always got a chocolate orange, so I get chocolate oranges for everyone for Christmas every year now. I love the chocolate orange. I think a lot of people, I give them to them and they're like, oh, another one of these oranges. But anyway, so Christmas morning, first things first, we do the stocking, and then my mom or dad would start to pass out gifts. I get a lot of cool little fun stuff. My parents did a really good job at picking out things that I was gonna like, Nickelodeon foam stuff, or like just the stuff the kids like. And then I'd also usually get the big gift that I had asked for, like one year it was a Nintendo, one year it was a Sega Genesis, a couple of times it was guitars, one year it was a skateboard. One year that just really sticks with me is the year I got my first guitar. It was this red Flying V, like an off-brand, but it was a real electric guitar. I got an amp with it and a distortion pedal. And man, I like maybe knew 2 or 3 guitar chords, but when you plug your kid electric guitar into the amp with the distortion pedal and start playing, it just sounds like crazy noise. So I had so much fun doing that. I know I must have drove my parents crazy. So yeah, that Christmas really sticks out in my mind. Another Christmas, I got a Mike McGill Powell Peralta skateboard, like a complete deck with the wheels and everything, and a pair of British Knights, which weren't skate shoes, but I was still stoked I wanted the British Knights. At the time, all I did was skateboard around in the street out in front of my house. We tried to build ramps. We just mainly did tricks off the curb, just your standard suburban kid skateboard stuff. But I was really into it at the time. I'd seen like the movie Gleaming the Cube and it had been life-changing for me. Another Christmas that really sticks out is when I got my first Nintendo Entertainment System. I had talked about it to my parents, but I didn't like really ask for it. But I had mentioned wanting a Nintendo because kids were just starting to get them in my neighborhood and I knew what it was. And so anyway, Christmas morning I open it up and it's NES, Nintendo Entertainment System. Has the little gun, Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt. I think I also got a copy of Contra at the time. At this point, it's been so long, I'm not real sure if it was Contra. But I remember like plugging that into my weird color TV through some kind of adapter. And I remember playing Super Mario Brothers for the first time and it blew my mind. I didn't know any of the tricks, I was just playing it. Pretty soon after that, magazines and game stuff was everywhere and we were learning all the tricks to beat the video games in the coolest ways or whatever. After like an hour of Mario Brothers, you hit the reset button and it would start again and you could pick Duck Hunt, and that was a lot of fun too. So that Christmas really sticks out in my mind. Oh man, here's another one. Another great Christmas was the year I got a keytar, which is like a keyboard, but you wear it with like a guitar strap. I got that for Christmas one year. It blew my mind. It was like the funnest thing ever. I played with that thing so much. So I'm not gonna go through every Christmas, but those are the kind of Christmas mornings I had when I was a kid. After we would open our gifts on Christmas morning, then we would leave and go to my mom's family's house. She had a big family. It didn't revolve as much around the kids having fun. It was more of an adult Christmas dinner where my mom and all her sisters and her mom would get together. So on my mom's side, my grandma would always give me some shirt that I never wore, like a dress shirt, and I was like a skater. So every year it was something like that. I remember clearly my Uncle Ricky would always give me some comic books or something like that, and that was always super awesome. And my other aunts and uncles would sometimes get me stuff that I had asked my mom to get me. Like, I guess she would pass on that I wanted that, so I would get some cool stuff. But I did always get a dress shirt that I never wore. Sometimes later in the year, my mom would try to make me wear that dress shirt that my grandma had got me when we were going to visit my grandma, but I don't know if I ever really did. But she tried. She definitely tried. So at my mom's family's, I would get the one shirt from my grandma and some gifts from my aunts and uncles, and then we'd have a great feast, and then eventually that night we'd go home, and my parents' friends would all come over and they'd have a jam. I don't know if you know any musicians, but a jam session is when everyone gets together and brings their guitars and amps and plays songs. So every year, Christmas Day night, now we have a word for it, Friendsmas, but back then they didn't say that. They were just having a jam on Christmas night and everyone was gonna come over. So they would come over. I would have my friends come over too, and when we got older, we would try to play music with the grown-up musicians, but I'd have my friends there. We'd be, hanging out in my room doing whatever kind of bad stuff we were up to, or good stuff. My parents would be there with their friends playing music and like drinking and partying and all that kind of stuff. So that was what we did on Christmas Day night. And yeah, that pretty much sums up Christmas Eve and Christmas Day in my family as a kid. So leave me some comments. I'm curious about what Christmas was like for you as a kid and how that translated into how you celebrate as an adult. Definitely my consumerist Christmas as a child influenced the way I give gifts as an adult. So, but as you can tell, my Christmases were really consumer based. Like, I wanted some stuff and I was gonna get it. But my mom really tried to instill in me the joy of giving a gift to someone as well. So as an adult, I have that consumer Christmas thing mixed in with the joy of giving. So there's always something I really want, but what I really enjoy as an adult is getting people gifts. Getting Madison something that's a great surprise that she'll really love, I enjoy that. And gifting Amanda a lot of surprises that she's not expecting, I really enjoy that stuff. As an adult, I like to give gifts. So that's what Christmas was like as a kid for Bird Snake. Anyhow, happy holidays to all of you. I'm Bird Snake. Thanks for watching.